first panel discussion, that is Nurturing Innovation, R&D, Startups and Collaboration. Our moderator for this session is Mr. Abhishek Gupta, Partner, Government and Public Sector EY, and he will guide the discussion with our esteemed panelist, Mr. Pradeep K. Chand, Director of Finance, Cement Corporation of India Limited, Mr. Sunil Vattal, Principal Consultant, Noida Center of Excellence, MP CDEC State IT Center, Madhya Pradesh, Dr. Gautam Goswami, former scientist, G Advisor and Head, Foresight and Vision Division, TIFAC DST Government of India, and Ms. Anjana Sanjeeva, Chief General Manager, Finance Scale India Limited.
Very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to have a very, very interesting session around innovations. And I know the last few weeks, especially the last week, has been very, very eventful in the media because of various statements made by some of the leaders within the industry as well as in the government. So I think talking about innovation, R&D, startups and collaboration is actually today the hottest topic around. We've got a very esteemed panel here. We've got the people who've been working in this area for nearly 3 decades. And each of them have not only seen the whole journey of how the innovation ecosystem in India has evolved, but also very specifically worked on innovations within their own organizations, within their own ecosystems, from a PSU or from a government perspective. Just to put things in perspective, we all would appreciate the fact that there has been huge transformation in the way innovation has been thought about or has been evolving in India over the last few years, especially if you look at some of the global recognitions, where Global Innovation Index, if you take an example, India has done really well in the last decade or so. At the same time, if you look at the number of patents filed, again, India has done really well. If you look at the number of startups, India has done really well. If you look at the various programs and the missions which have been launched, just to give an example, the Indian Semiconductor Mission, it's been a huge success, at least till now, whatever we have seen. So there have been a lot of initiatives, there have been a lot of successes, and yes, in this session, we are going to briefly touch upon some of those successes as well, and what are the learnings going forward. But more importantly, we need to look at the future. We need to look at how we can now change the levers, because if you effectively see, India's innovation rank jumped almost 40 places in the last few years. But for the last 2-3 years, we have not been able to make a substantial or a significant increase in our rank or betterment in our rank. Similarly, while the number of patents filed would have gone up, but if you look at the number of industrial designs, if you look at the number of trademarks, we've not been able to achieve the best. If you look at the number of patents granted versus the number of patents filed, again, we are quite low when it comes to that number. Just to throw a number at you, we granted 30,000 patents last year. 2023 data is the latest confirmed data. And can you imagine how many patents China granted? It was more than 7 lakhs, nearly 8 lakhs, 7,90,000 something. But the number of patents granted in China, whereas 30,000 is our number. While obviously it may not make sense to compare these two geographies or compare two economies, even if you look at US, you look at Japan, you look at Korea, the numbers are in lakhs, and we are only talking about a few thousands. So there are a lot of things where we can improve. There is a lot of positive to be seen as well. As I said, we have done well, at least in the filing of the patents. We have done well in our ranks when it comes to the innovation part. But yes, certainly there is a journey we need to cover. So my colleagues here, the esteemed panelists here, I will really request them to talk about some things where all of you who are the torch bearers, all of you who are the people who are actually taking these initiatives forward for the Government of India in various nooks and corners, various geographies, various domains, various sectors. What do we have to learn? So I think at the end of this half an hour exercise, we need to really have an actionable roadmap so that each of us take back learnings to our respective organizations and ecosystem and start implementing. So with that, I will request each of my colleagues to first introduce themselves very, very briefly, and then we'll get into a Q&A. And of course, you can also write down your questions, and we'll be happy to take your questions as well. So I'll start with my colleague on the right.
I am Pradeep Kumar Chand, Director of Finance, Cement Corporation of India Limited.
Myself, Dr. Gautam Goswami. I am from government side. Actually, last 15 years, I am heading Technology Foresight Division. I am superintendent in January. Technology Foresight Division of Department of Science and Technology. And I led that Technology Vision 2035 document, which Honorable Prime Minister released it, and a lot of action point emerged out of it, and different programs launched by government. Now, recently we were working on Technology Vision 2047 or maybe Viksit Bharat roadmap. Then we are working on climate change technology needs assessment for India, which are basically that the information is basic meet for argument in international forum. In your previous session, you might have heard about COP meetings and COP 28, 29, COP 27, where India argues with the international community about technologies and finance, and basically we help in that direction. Recently, we came out with a technology foresight 2047 for defense sector, where Indian defense sector should invest. What is the vision for in the defense sector? So these are the things is our working domain.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sunil Vatal. I work for MP State Electronics Development Corporation. We basically work, we are a software development arm for the state. We work on e-governance projects. We basically develop software for all e-governance applications for the state. And these are mostly citizen-centric applications. These are all state schemes. So we sort of touch all departments. We touch all citizen factors and basically touch the whole society by way of development of e-governance applications.
Hello, good afternoon all. I am Anjana Sanjeeva. I am Chief General Manager at Finance at GAIL India Limited. So our company deals with natural gas and its and other hydrocarbons. We are present in upstream, we are present in midstream, and we are also there in downstream. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And my introduction, I'm a partner with EY, Ernst & Young. I've been on this side of the table in government because I've been an advisor to government for almost 22 years now. That's perhaps the easiest job to advise anybody to do ABCD. And in the entire domain of startups, innovation, and what we call as economic development, I've been working for the last almost 10 years, and we have a team of more than 4,000 people as we speak in India as EY, who are working with the governments at various levels. So that's a quick introduction about myself. With that, we'll jump into the questions. I have prepared a grilling list of questions for my colleagues and my fellow speakers here. One common question which I would like to ask all of you is, what is that one innovation which you would like to talk about, and what is that impact that particular innovation has had in the last, since the time that innovation has got adopted? What is that one particular impact which you've been able to create? I would like to ask each of you that question. So maybe we can start with you, Mrs. Spear.
I would actually relate with the e-governance application footprint. So some of the innovations that we have done is, for example, I used to work for Government of Haryana before this. We have a common family ID card. So this is, the same thing is being replicated across all the states. Haryana has it, MP has it, Karnataka has it, where it's a common family ID which links together the entire family. It's a family representation where it basically calculates the overall income of the family. So all direct debits, all government schemes, all benefits are routed through that. So without that family ID, you will not be able to register for certain government services, you will not be able to engage, and you will not be able to reap those benefits. And what it does is actually, it makes sure that the direct DBTs are transferred to the rightful owner rather than getting misused. And there was a lot of misuse happening earlier. So this is one innovation which has really worked very well in the e-governance arena.
Right, thank you. I can certainly testify because I've got the pleasure of working with the government of Madhya Pradesh very, very closely. I can certainly vouch for that. Anjana, what is that one innovation which you're really proud of and we would like to talk about?
I will not talk at the micro level. I'll be more macro on this. So the first innovation which I feel proud of, which has happened in our country, I would say is by ISRO. That is the Mangalyaan, where India was became the first country to step on Mars in its first attempt, and that too at a meager budget of $74 million, which is approximately 1/10 what NASA spent. And we didn't look back, we continued that journey, and ISRO has so far been successful in launching more than around 350 satellites in India, more than 350 foreign and domestic satellites. So that is the first innovation which I'm feeling proud of. So I would not restrict myself to one. I want to quote one more innovation or technology which our country did during difficult time of COVID. India was the first country to launch its own vaccine, Covaxin, which was developed by Bharat Biotech. So we have the in-house talent and the capabilities to do research and innovations, but somewhere we are lacking, and I think we will cover that.
Sure, absolutely, lovely, very proud of both the things which you mentioned. Pradeep, what do you think, what is that one innovation which you would love to talk about?
Yeah, I will tell no specific case of innovation because I am from manufacturing sector. I specifically emphasis on the what transformation is required. This is digital transformation or technology transformation. In fact, so far PSU is concerned, all industries, almost there is a change of technology, disruption can occur to business in COVID period. So what happened, this almost all PSU, they have to make a digital transformation. In fact, it is not a change of technology, it is a change of business processes. And how this business processes can take place? It can be achieved by looking at the 4 domain of business transformation. So that is one, first point is the component is the innovation. First one is innovation, then customer, competition, data and value. So innovation is a integral foundation of the digital transformation, which all the manufacturing PSUs, you can say, take example of NTPC, Coal India, GAIL, everywhere they are reshaping their business landscape by taking the innovations and taking the digital transformation through innovation. So there is no specific case of innovation. Innovation R&D is going on parallelly because they have to transform all the business process they have to make. Because now, if you not adopt the technology, not combine the technology, you will be nowhere in the business, in globally competitiveness. So you can take example of Nokia, Kodia, for example, Nokia, nowhere. So now business has to adopt, and how will adopt the technology? You have to make an innovation. So for this innovation, almost all companies, you can see Coal India, Nalco, and GAIL, Indian Oil also, they are streamlining their processes through innovation. And how they are doing the innovation? Through intellectual property right, IPR rights. Rightly, our moderator has pointed out this patent filing. So the law has to be liberalized so that this intellectual property right can be taken. But this because PSU is facing a lot of problem, although they are having the huge money, they don't have the efficiency or to take up all the technologies for innovation and R&D also. But private company, they are having the huge capability efficiency and R&D. Public sector is lacking behind this. So we are looking the top big firms like you and I and other firms, you give the suggestion how to make innovations, R&D to our business processes. That is there. But in PSUs over PSU concerned, in every business processes, we are making innovation. How to reduce the cost, how to achieve the efficiency, how to run the plant efficiently, and real-time management. So we are every time we are making some innovation, how to adopt the technology to reduce the cost, efficiency, and be profitable and be competent with the sustainability. So we are making continuously efforts on different type of innovations of the business processes, not a single processes. But you can see, for example, you can see in Coal India, their mining operations was earlier, traditional mining operation was there. Now they have made the digital mining operations. One control point, they can control all the mining operations. Expenditure they have reduced to drastically. Similarly, other company also, this Indian Oil also, they are also doing like that, digital transmission. So everything control is there. And everything comes from the R&D. R&D and innovation. So innovation is not a new idea. It is a bringing solution to your business problem strategically, competitively. How will make a difference of the other competitor? Because so far in PSU concern, I am in the cement industry, I am having several experience in different core sector, cement, fertilizer, gas, oil gas. But I find we are very difficult to compete the public private companies. And I am the only cement company who are competing around 98% private leaders, Adani, Ultratex. And although our quality is best, we are not able to compete with the other private cement player. And only one public sector where government is giving so much importance that you are in a core sector, you have to make profit because you have vast resources. But because of the technology and innovation, we are not competing with the private parties. That is the main problem. So how this innovation will come? Because we have to invest a lot in R&D and technology, where this support can be done by the private companies. And you can imagine that, for example, I'm telling, the Noya Valley Lignite and Coal India, they are giving this mining operation to Adani by mining operator model. Adani will be doing everything and Coal India will be getting the coal as per requirement, they will be paying. Similarly, Noya Valley Lignite, Nalco, bauxite mining, they are outsourcing to the private parties. So these are the things innovation has to done, because why these private companies, they have the capability and efficiency. They have innovated the things. They have made the things doing easily, cost competitive. And public sector is lacking behind us. So I think that this is that as time has come, we have to take the efficiency of the private and public sector can work on the PPP model where R&D, innovation, even we can include startup also, to make the public sector efficient, because public sector working is different and we have to rule, regulation, procedure, policy, everything is there, and see, Data Protection Act is there, DP Act is there, or rule regulation is there, bureaucracy is there. So that is the only problem where, although we are innovative, we cannot do because apprehension of this law regulatory framework. So now the trend is that we can do the model of the private PPP model, public and private partnership model, where innovation come from this private party with efficiency and public sector will do like that. So these are the things. Thank you.
Very, very helpful, and we'll certainly dig a little deeper into what you spoke about PPP in R&D investments. Dr. Goswami, you are at the heart of this entire ecosystem. What are some of those one or two things which you would really want to talk about and celebrate?
Yeah, actually, let me congratulate all three panelists who has brought the meat of innovation. But what I feel is the change of mindset. In the last 10 years, now how to economize the innovation, how to economize the knowledge, that idea has been entered into the system. Let me give one or two example. You know, this, if you see in general, startup ecosystem is now coming up. Recently, I had been there to Ranchi, National Institute of Advanced Manufacturing Technology. They conducted different competition. And I'm amazed to see a BTech first year boy, he is thinking of a business. Earlier, 10 years ago, it was not there, which gives a lot of confidence that the intellectual, how to capitalize intellectual knowledge. Earlier, our intellectual knowledge is captured in paper, this patent filing and all. Now that has to be economized. That mindset has changed. Probably a different funding scheme, probably different mechanism of supporting innovation. And one more example, I would like to say that earlier, all R&D is based on government. Government invested in R&D. Now recently, Department of Science and Technology has brought out a ANRF, Anushandhan National Research Foundation, where 65% should fund from industry and only 35% by government. So this is a sea change in the investment even. So these are the small steps which I feel make India to achieve the goal for Viksit Bharat in 2047.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. A very good point you made about entrepreneurship. I think perhaps the title should have been Startups, Entrepreneurships and Collaborations. There is no doubt, as we have all spoken about, that we are on a trajectory which is certainly there to grow for even many, many years to come, and we are talking about 2047 as well. And as some of the numbers which I already spoke about, we've been doing really well in the Global Innovation Index. We've been doing well in the number of patent filings. But I think it's important, as I said, to now look at how do we go to the next level. If you effectively see, number of patents filed is the first input indicator of innovation, R&D startups. The next one is the number of patents granted. The next one is the industrial designs which we've been able to establish. And then, of course, finally, the copyrights and the trademarks will come into picture. Now, if you look at the whole funnel, at the top, we are doing really well. The number of patents filed, we've been doing really well. Obviously, we still have a long way to go if you compare to US, Japan, Korea, China. But at least we've tried to reach there. But if you go down the funnel, we are lagging behind by a huge margin. As I said, number of patents granted are low. The number of industrial designs are even lower. The number of trademarks are even lower. The number of scientific publications are extremely low. The R&D investment I've already spoken about is again very, very low. Thankfully, the government has come up with a scheme where there is a public-private partnership as well. But first, let's just spend 5-7 minutes as a panel here to understand what are the reasons, and then maybe we'll attack those reasons and try to discuss about the recommendations. But what are the reasons we are unable to, maybe as a PSU, as a government, as an ecosystem, as a private sector, we are unable to make a change? Or as I said, in the last 3-4 years, our ranks in the innovation index have only gone up by 1 or 2 notch. Whereas it should, in the last 10 years, it's been like from 80 to 40, it was a huge jump. But from 40 to perhaps come in the early 20s or mid 20s or mid 30s is going to be extremely difficult. So I would really encourage all of you to just think about what are those 1 or 2 things, hindrances, reasons why we are, or perhaps we need to address so that we move to the next level. So maybe we'll start with you, Sunil. What do you think are one of those key 2 reasons?
I think one is the focus. There's a lot of, as we see, industry-academia collaboration. A lot of research needs to start from the academic institutions. We are seeing a trend. We are seeing a trend of incubation centers being set up at various institutions, at various colleges, at academic universities, which is picking up fast. And I think that is a lot of effort needs to be done there. So that industry-academia collaboration needs to be happened. Second thing is we need to also look at prioritizing on the sectors where innovation has to happen. It can't be, because if you look at startups, if you look at the startup ecosystem, there's a comparison. I think this had come up recently in one of the discussions. One of our ministers has said, if you look at the sectors where we are targeting and the sectors where China or US is targeting, those are different. We're probably still grappling with low-hanging fruit. I think we're doing a lot of our startup ecosystem is still working more on e-commerce sites and delivery applications rather than high-tech applications. Whereas if you look at China, you look at Japan, they are focusing more on high-end applications. There's a lot of innovation going into AI and other stuff, robotics and other stuff. So one also needs to look at what are the parameters, what are the real needs of the people, and prioritize the sectors accordingly. That's one of the major things.
That's a very good point you've made, and that also reminds me. I had the opportunity to visit Singapore Science Park, and that is one of the best examples of industry academia collaboration. Uh, Not just the physical proximity of industry and academia, but the models they have evolved for industry to work with the academia and academia to work with the industry is just outstanding. It's completely outstanding. You won't even realize if a industry professional is working as a professor and vice versa. So that's the beauty, and as you rightly mentioned, perhaps choosing the right sectors. Unfortunately today, this is something which is really amusing as well. When we call which are our focus sectors, we give a list of 15. Now 15 can't be your focus sectors. So I think somewhere, yes, you are absolutely right. We certainly need to focus on maybe top 5, if not 3 sectors. Anjana, what do you think are some of those key reasons why we still need to look at that quantum leap instead of just notching up 1 or 2 ranks?
So I fully agree with what he said, that we are still on the low-hanging fruit, because we as a culture, we are risk averse. We don't want to take high risk. We just take the low gestation returns investments, and high risk investments we don't do. We as a country, we have been brought up like that we don't take many risks, or risks which are high, have high potential of failures. We are scared to fail. We don't teach our children that it's okay if you fail, but do some research, go ahead and experiment. So we have to bring in that culture, and in our schools, and maybe at the start of the education system, that we have to take chances, we have to take risks, we have to experiment with life and do more research, and that culture has to be brought in.
Thank you. I'm very glad you mentioned about education. Just to share an example with all of you, as EY, we do a lot of such studies where we try to find the best in education. Can you imagine your child going to the school? Let's say if a child would spend 7 hours into the classroom, what some of the schools in the US have done is that they would only make you spend 3.5 hours in the classroom. Rest 3.5 hours, can you imagine your child selling fruits and vegetables on the road? Can you imagine your child going to a laboratory and do whatever he or she would like to, rather being told that you do this? So that's the level to which now US has started moving towards. That as Anjana rightly mentioned, instead of a fixed curriculum, are we encouraging our kids enough to think beyond what is already given to us? So thank you. That's a very good point you made. Pradeep ji, what do you think are 1 or 2 root causes of why we are still stuck?
The main reason is that so far as industry is concerned, in every industry there is a lack of transformation. So almost all globally you can see all the industry they have digital transformation is made. But so far as Indian PSU is concerned, digital transformation has not been successful. You can say 30-40%. Of course, big PSU they are trying. Other PSU they have not attempted because of the risk factor that is there. So second thing that it doesn't mean that India cannot do the more innovative is patent filing on India IPR Act, because normally India used to take the patent and trademark and design from other companies. Indian brand, I appreciate that Indian brand is best brand in the world. So another thing is that 4-5 sector you can concentrate for this first. That is one, electronics, chemicals, energy, then your services, that sector. That sector, this Indian can do something more, and by taking this innovation, and almost world is relying on the IT and energy. Now renewable energy is spreading. Globally we have the largest share, and you can imagine that so far the startup ecosystem, India has emerged in a position, 3rd position in the world. So Indian brain is the best brain, but people are reluctant, they are not hesitant to take the risk, particularly PSU. Nobody want to take the risk. System is going on, bureaucracy going on. Why to take the risk? Why to make change? There is a resistance to change. So upskilling, major problem is that upskilling of the people workforce to these changes has to be done. That is the major issue with India.
Thank you. I'm glad you made that point because while I will not be able to take some names here, but the government of India, in the last few years, if you look at the funding towards R&D and startups, it is huge. But the amount of sanction is huge, but the actual rollout and handover to the startups is very, very low. Because the banks are also risk averse. Obviously, they have their own reasons, nothing against any of the banks. But I think certainly that mindset, as you rightly spoke about, we need to change. Dr. Goswami, what is keeping you or giving you those sleepless nights? What is keeping you awake?
Yeah, actually, we are in Indians. We are very much fear psychosis of failure. And in Indian system, failure doesn't have any place. You know, if you are failed, then you will not get more fund. In the contrast, in US, they look for failure. I was traveling to a guy, Indian guy, he was working in US, he was working on this driverless car. I was asking, what do you do? Well, I prepared the remotes for driverless car, and that is fitted for different companies. And what is the success rate? I failed twice, I got three times funding, which means that other countries, developed nations, they fund failure to get the actual out of it. Maybe I understand because India's GDP is divided by so much populations. India may not afford that much luxury to support failure, but the system is changing. India should now invest in failures. That's why our patent filing is more, it is not commercialized. Exactly. That is the problem is that. So that is my experience, and in fact, the system is changing. And exactly you are saying that education system needs to be changed. New education policy has brought in some changes. It may show result after some time. Experiential learning is being introduced. Flipped classroom is being introduced. Students will do the study at home. School, they will come to understand the complexity or problems, how to solve the problem. That type of changes are happening, but it may take time.
Sure. No, thank you so much. I really liked when you said invest in failure. I think that is certainly something we really need to learn from perhaps the developed nations. So last 6-7 minutes, I would really encourage each of my colleagues here to give one or two very specific either promises or at least recommendations for the government, PSUs or institutions as to how do we increase, and as I said, we can talk about specifics as well. For example, our rate of scientific publications is very low, our R&D investments are very low. As I just mentioned, industrial designs, trademarks, copyrights, these are extremely, extremely low. Patents, yes, number of patents granted and applied are increasing, but again, that is something which is very low. What do you believe, and you can wear your own organization's hat here or maybe think as a public policy specialist, which are those one or two things which you think can bring a transformational change in the whole ecosystem of innovation for India? I would maybe start with you, Anjana.
In our country, I feel that there is a multi-stakeholder problem as far as R&D and innovative projects are concerned. So a small project like clean energy initiative, since I come from gas, utility and energy sector, so I would touch upon that issue. A small energy initiative project under R&D, which is dealt by Department of Biotechnology, and concerned ministries are Power, Ministry of MOPNG, and many other ministries are involved, for which a clearance is required and to launch such a project. So I would suggest, or I would urge the government to have an interministerial committee to so that such projects are brought on fast track, and there is a single window mechanism, or the committee should look into it, and the projects get implemented fast. There are no delays, there are no bureaucratic delays, and even funds are allocated to different ministries. So with good collaboration, those funds can be utilized for real R&D projects, and budget grants can be really disbursed if interministerial or collaborative R&D projects are taken.
Thank you so much. This was one of the recommendations you actually stole from me. This is brilliant, absolutely. Thank you so much for giving that recommendation. And this is a personal experience, as she rightly mentioned. If you look at innovations or R&D in the field of, let's say, pharmaceuticals, there are various ministries involved, departments involved, health, ilouge, pharma, and then of course there are promotion councils as well. Similarly, if you look at the laboratories for the industry at the grassroots level, you have DPIIT, you have MSME, you have DSIR, and then of course you have state government. So multiplicity of the stakeholders, I think, really needs to be attended to. But thank you, Anjana, brilliant point you made. What do you think still should be done?
I think one of the essential things is collaboration. And when I say collaboration, it needs to be across PSUs, across departments. Again, boils down to the same point that it needs to be a single point for. But having a single point doesn't only solve the purpose, because there are certain projects which could cut across departments, across ministries, where a lot of collaboration is needed. Again, across the PSUs, what is currently happening probably, these PSUs or ministries or departments are working on silos. So instead of working on silos, there has to be a collaboration. So that collaborative approach has to be there. The other thing that is very important is that the way we have ease of doing business, we should also have ease of doing research. So research is not being, I think what happens is research is being given a back foot. So if you look at it in US, research is given a very, very prominent priority. So I think research, ease of doing research has to be there. And also, I mean, we all know funding, but then there could be something like PSUs can also engage proactively into PPP mode. They can partner with organizations and try to sort of fund them and try to sort of encourage startups to resolve their problems.
Right. Thank you so much. So I think we'll see the headlines tomorrow. Government of MP focuses on ease of research. That's brilliant. And GAIL is focusing on creating a platform for interministerial collaboration. Thank you so much. Pradeep ji, what do you think is that one thing which Cement Corporation would like to talk about?
Problem is that, so government has to change the policies. Because in PSUs, working with this government policy, present policy is very difficult for any transformation, any change. Because almost all companies, they are going for the digital transformation. You can say business transformation, but unless policy change, it's very difficult. Second thing, investing in R&D. So public sector have fund, but they have the courage to invest in R&D. Because any failure, there will be accountability. Accountability responsibility is there, so nobody has to take a decision. That is the real things I want to highlight. Because if you want, for example, I want to introduce one analytics in my finance company, in manufacturing sector, to identify the predictive losses, maintenance losses, and cut down the sort of what is the problem lies, but it was not implemented. So you cannot implement analytics also, simple analytics. So there is issue. So unless policy is changed, government support is there, this issue cannot do anything. And second thing is that important is that collaboration. Collaboration has to be done, because either with government or private, collaboration is done for innovation and skill upgradation. Because PSUs working, we are 30, 20 years, 2 decades, 30 decades, we have been working, but we don't have the innovative mindset right now. So that upskilling has to be done through innovation, global technology, global companies. So you can say your big firm. So we are always, in fact, looking for the big firm to give some innovative idea. So these are a lot of things in the back has to be done, so that PSU can upgrade itself to that level to meet a global competition. Because we feel that so far global company come, they are so advanced, we PSU lagging behind. Not in knowledge, but the technology they use, The software, the tools they use, I am finance professional, so the technology they use, within half an hour, 10 minutes, they are taking some decision. They design some business model, for example. But we are not able to do 3 4 days. That is the problem. So these all, as a whole, we have to develop, upskill our knowledge, combining the technology as well as the legal provision, legal rules that has to facilitate. Because suppose for an innovation, you have to data. So you cannot take the data right now in India. The DPDP Act is there. So if company do something wrong illegally, so fine will went to 2,500 crore. So a lot of legal litigation economy there. So that all government has to take care, and government has to make a liberalization policy so that the PSU can adopt the digital transformation and go for the innovation. That is there.
Thank you so much. Dr. Goswami, final word from your side.
Yeah, I agree to all the suggestions and equal vote for that. I want to bring out a different perspective now. You know, if we think about 2047, absolutely different technological domain is going to come. Take example of energy. We all are talking about renewable, fine. We are talking about solar. But the solar cell, after 20 years, what will happen to that? So end of life management of solar cell is one issue. Second issue is, in nuclear, people have started working on. India is also in a nascent stage of small nuclear reactor, modular nuclear reactor. But US is working on 4th generation modular reactor, which will take 50 years to come to the market. Where small unit fit in the grid, it will serve the purpose. My point here is, India should have a mechanism to capture the young minds out-of-box ideas. Invest on it. You know, brain-computer interface conceptualized in 1920, still are struggling to make it a product. Flying car, in 1950s, it conceptualized what was going on, still it is not on the market in a commercial scale. So my point is, out-of-box ideas which will give India economic leverage, you have to invest today, which will give leverage after 50 years. India doesn't do that. So my important point is, create a culture of capturing young minds' out-of-box ideas and work on it. We have done it in 2047, and a lot of ideas with this BTech first year, second year students gave, which is amazing. We should invest on that.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Very, very helpful. So we'll end this session just by saying, and I will really encourage the organizers to perhaps note this down, and in the next edition, whenever we meet, not only India's innovation index rank should also go up, but at the same time, whether it is the number of patents granted, or it is the number of scientific publications, or it is the R&D investment, I think let's keep a close tap on it. And hopefully when we meet next, we'll all be doing much, much better than where we are today. But thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for sparing your time. And thank you to all of you for listening to us. I think we will be here after the session, so happy to interact with you.